And now, as the nation mourns those lost here in Newtown, we also honor our fellow Americans who serve and sacrifice. This week, the Pentagon released the name of 5 service members killed in Afghanistan. May they all rest in peace. So hard to see the age of those victims. We're going to talk now more about how this community here can cope. We're back with Congresswoman-elect Elizabeth Esty from this community, Father William Hamilton, a chaplain with the ATF helping counsel first responders, also our own Dr. Richard Besser. And Doctor, let's pick up where Joe Klein just left off. This school tomorrow will be closed, right, but everybody coming back on Tuesday. How do the parents and the teachers talk to the kids here and then more generally, parents at home?
Right. You know, talking to kids, it depends so much on their age, their level of development, and knowing your own child. Very young children who weren't in this community, you want to shield them from this. But in this community, when you talk about rebuilding and moving forward, schools play an absolutely critical role. It allows children to normalize their life. They're getting back into the routine. It also provides a very safe place for children to talk about what they're experiencing, what they're feeling. And teachers and administrators who are well-trained, and they're getting training here, will be able to identify kids right now, but also going forward, who are not coping well, so that they can get the specialized services that will help prevent long-term problems.
And Congresswoman, what more are you hearing from the people here in the community? This is your community, about what they need, what they want right now.
Well, they want time to heal and time to grieve. I'm a mother of 3 children, and I was a room parent in a first grade classroom, and I just can't imagine the grief that they're going through right now. But in meetings yesterday with the wonderful First Select Woman, also a mother herself, Pat Lodra, there's a lot of focus on just what the doctor was referring to, supporting and keeping these children together, keeping them with their teachers, allowing this community to grieve together. The depth of their grief is a reflection of the depth of the love this community has. It's a very special place, and I think it's important for people to realize that about Newtown.
And then you made this point yesterday, Rich. You have to also be careful with these kids that they don't somehow define themselves by this tragedy.
I mean, that's so very important. You know, they're phases, and we are so early in this. But you don't want these children to become tragedy celebrities. You don't want it to be, as they grow up, what they're known for. They need to be known for how they play soccer, or how they study in class, or what they did for someone in their community. But if you're not careful, this can be the defining thing in their life.
And Father, so often forgotten, the toll this takes on those who come to save, those who come to help, the first responders, exactly. And that is your job to counsel them.
Exactly. The first responders, the members of public safety, do tremendous work for us, and yet their parents as well. They have children, they're seeing this, and most of the time they're responding to criminal activity of people who are maybe lifelong criminals. Now we're dealing with a situation, we're dealing with the innocence of a community, of its children, of its future. And so as a result, they're responding to people that they know, people that they live in the community with, that they share with.
And I would imagine also they respond to the innocence, but they also have to confront those who perpetrate these crimes. So they must be dealing with so much anger.
It can be, and that's a real emotion, and that's why we want to be around so that they can have a safe environment where when that anger builds up, then they can express it so that it doesn't take over them. You know, the anger cannot be an impetus for how they act, but rather as a result of what they've seen and what they've had to do.
And Congresswoman, what more will you be looking to do in this community over the next several days and weeks?
Well, to be support, to make sure they have all the resources we can bring to bear, working with the governor, the local community. There's been an outpouring of support from around the country for trained professionals to come and help. But again, it needs to be focused on Newtown. It is its own unique place. And the father is absolutely right. The first responders, too, are traumatized. You know, they are parents. These are their loved one, their cherished one. So I want to make sure we're keeping them as part of this process. And when I take office next month, surely there's going to be much more work to be done to make sure their deaths are not in vain. That we do something as a country, that we respond in a way that acknowledges that this is unacceptable. But right now, it is the focus on cherishing this family.
We only have about 30 seconds left, Rich, but on this point about mental health and identifying those who might be susceptible to a problem, what is the single most important thing we can do?
Well, I think access to care. There are so many people who either don't have health insurance or their plans don't cover mental health services or only cover it while they're a child. You need to bridge that so that if you identify someone, there's somewhere you can send them so that they're getting care.
Richard Besser, Congresswoman, Father, thank you all very much. That is all for us today. Thanks for sharing part of your Sunday with us. David Muir will have the very latest from Newtown on World News tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow on Good Morning America.